We're on page 8 and we have a couple fold outs for this. So we cut a 5.5 by 7 1/4. We called it a right FO. FO means fold out. And we placed this on our scoring board. So we were 5.5 across. We scored it at a 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch. We also had a 6 by 7 1/4. We called that our left fold out. We placed this on our scoring board. We were 6 inches across and we did a 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch. In your paper pack, you will locate this sheet, and on the back it looks like this. I've already taken off my trim piece here, and what we're going to do once you locate that and remove your trim piece, we'll turn it sideways. We'll measure over 7 1/4 inches and cut. We'll flip this upside down. The birds are over here. Measure over 7 1/4 inches and cut. And this is our base decorated page. All right, here is our 6 by 7 1/4 left fold out. And we're going to fold on those score lines. Our hinge, of course, will be off to the left. Mine's going to be upside down. I'm just going to put this the right way. This is the 6 by 7 1/4 left FO. That way it looks right and it isn't upside down. So hinge over here on the outside score line, we're going to pinch and crease. You'll still be able to see your other one. And we're going to slide that back behind our base decorative page, just like that. Make sure it's even top to bottom, and we're going to glue down that flap. We'll fold back on the other one, and also we'll check the inside to make sure no glue seeped out. We'll fill with our fingers, make sure that's the way it's supposed to be. Let's grab our right fold out, and we're going to fold on those score lines. And this is just an easy fold out page. Our hinge is going to be off to the right, so I'm going to erase this really quick so it's going the right way. And this was our 5.5 by 7 1/4, and this is our right FO. Okay, you have an inside and an outside score line. Here's our hinge. On the outside one, we're going to pinch and crease. And we're going to hook it back behind, making sure we're even with the others. We'll pinch, hold, flip it over, and glue down this flap. And then we can fold that back, press in, and we're going to open up our right fold out. And we're going to grab a plus and a minus magnet. Oh, it's stuck here. Here we go. Let's come in about 1 inch, somewhere in the middle there. We'll place the mate on top, and we will go over to the other side. Remember not to pull it tight. Just let it fall naturally and press. Okay, while that's still shut, in your reserves you will find this long strip, and on the back it looks like this. And we may have to trim this down a little bit, maybe. Actually, I think we can get away with a small little white border. I think we're good. We're just going to turn it this way. And let's go 7 1/8 inch and cut. Let's verify that that's going to give us the same white border pretty much, and it looks really good. Let's glue that down. All right, let's open this up. In your reserves, you will find this beautiful print. On the back, it looks like this. And let's see how we fit here. We're going to have to trim this down just a little bit, but let's kind of look at it like this. The house is over here. Measure over 7 1/8 inch and cut. And this is what you should have. We're just going to do a measure to fit on this. We'll place it down. You'll be able to see where your fold out is. We'll make a pencil mark and we will trim. Let's see how that looks. That looks pretty good. Let's glue that down. All right, let's open that up and get our paper for over in here. That looks like a good piece. In your reserves, you will find this piece. We're going to chop this down just a sliver off. So let's measure over 7 1/8 inch and trim. Just a sliver came off. And it looks like this goes at the top. We're going to apply glue. And we're going to fit that in there, leaving a little white border around there, and you will not be on your crease, your inner score line. And that will fit. All right, let's find for over here. And I found something that will fit perfectly in there. You have another one of these. Now this one is 5 1/4 by probably about 7 inches. So it's a little different, but I think it's going to work for us and it will fit in there. Let's glue that down. That little difference, it's not going to matter much when we're done here. Place that down. And I'm going to bring it up to the top. There'll be a little bit more gap down here. So I can try and keep the tops the same. And we will tackle the bottom. So in your reserves, you should be able to locate maybe some skinny little pieces. And that's all I'm going to do is use these little pieces to my advantage rather than waste them. So if you can find a small, skinny little piece, grab it out of your reserves. Mine, I just cut down. It looks like this. I measured to fit, and I am going to glue that down. When you're building albums, these small strips can come in handy. And by the time you're done, it will look good if you have to overlap or use them. Okay, remember these little guys that we had? I'd like to use some of them. And we're just going to divide them up. It may take you a minute. On the back it's green. It may take you a minute to locate them. That's okay. And I think we'll just use a couple of these for some color. One here up in the corner. I'm not going to back these. And this is the one I'm using up here. I'll just place it here just for something. And actually, I think I'm going to use the one with the little window. And I think I'll place it down here. Just for something. let's close that up. And I think I've been looking at a few things here. I think there's something that I want to add that I don't think is going to interfere with that magnet. In your reserves you will find this. What I'd like you to do is cut out and around this, and I'll show you mine first before you cut yours. Now this is not on the pre-cutting, what I'm going to have you do here in a moment. This is what you have. We're going to cut some white cardstock, and I'm going to give you the dimensions here in just a moment. So now I've figured out that it is my camera keeps shutting down on me, and I'm going to have to replace the camera. But let's get through this. What you're going to want to do is cut a 4 3/4 inch by 5 3/8 inch piece of white cardstock. We're going to lay this so we're 4 3/4 across, and we're going to score it at a 1/2 inch. So I'm coming back around. I actually finished the page already, so we're going to do this together. So you have that panel that we created together, and we're going to have a hinge off to the left here. We're going to take our 3/8 inch score tape, and we're going to place it on that left-hand hinge. What I'd like you to do is to glue down your panel here. And since we've already completed this, and I'm going to walk you through the rest, which will be very easy, you notice how I have this on here like this? What we're going to do is remove the score tape, and we're going to place it right in the center of that fold out there. And you'll have this on top. Now for this piece, what you would have had is you will see a small, like 6x6 panel in your reserves that looks like this, and it has another piece on there. I would like you to cut that to a 4 1/8, and I think it's already cut down on the side, but 5 1/8, and then you'll glue that down there. And I apologize, I will replace the camera now. What I ended up doing is I had some glue that had dropped, and so when I opened up my fold out, it pulled some of the paper off. So I just kind of daubed some of my lilac ink there, and I glued down that extra little piece here. And I will show you about this in a moment, but you should be able to latch. So what I've done is place some flowers over here. Now this little guy, all I did was I went into my scraps, some small pieces, and I glued this down to some scrap white cardstock, and I cut out and around it, and I just tucked it back underneath and leaving it open under here so I can still get a photo in there. So that is something that you might want to remember as a tip, that these little pieces aren't always a waste. So I'll show you. This is a different size than what I have down there, but feel free. It was just a small piece. This now becomes a small little journaling tag. I mean, you can do this anywhere you want. I've already got one here. Let's see. And I can place one down here. I can place this anywhere on here. I can even overlap over that other one where I had to place it. And I think I will, just to give some layering. And that is my tag. You can place it at an angle or just place it. Page 8 is complete. We are now on to page 9. We're on page 9, and we will not be having, hopefully, any more of the camera issues. However, it did happen in a spot that it was not hard to recoup. All right, pre-cuts. We just had a 4.5 by 8.5, and it is our pocket, and there is no scoring. I think this is the first time I've ever had a problem with my camera going out in the middle of a tutorial. All right, in your paper pack, you will find this gorgeous print on the back. It looks like this. Let's take off that trim piece. Perfect. And I think the first thing that we're going to do is turn that sideways, measure over 7.25 inches, and cut. This is what you should have. We're just going to measure over 7.25 inches and cut. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, our pocket. I did not score it. I'm just going to do a regular pocket. I'm putting my 1/4 inch score tape along the bottom, and we are going to mount this pocket. If you'd like to put score lines on the side, how I showed you with the scoring board earlier, you can. So let's just bend that and make sure we have equal overhang or close to, just so we have something to wrap. We'll press out. Flip it over and burnish. Okay, let's glue down these flaps. Oops, way too much glue over here. And we're going to glue down the flaps over here, these guys. Very nice. Let's get our paper for this. Alright, in your paper pack, you will find this gorgeous print. Oh, and on the back, it is this. Let's take off that trim piece. Now we're going to be needing this sheet for our final page, so let's cut for that first. So we are going to turn it sideways, and we're going to measure over 7.25 inches and cut. So this is what you should have. We're going to stick this off to the side so we can finish this up. This is such a beautiful print. I don't even know where to begin on where I want to cut this, but we're going to go with it this way. From this side, measure over 7.25 inches and cut. You'll have these two pieces. I want you to set this to the side. Do not put these in your reserves. Set it off to the side for our page 10, our final page, so it doesn't get messed up. And I think I would really like to use, oh, that is so darn pretty. I don't know which way I want to do it, but it matters not which way we turn this at this point, if I want to go this way or that. Measure over 7.25 inches and cut. This is so darn pretty, and I don't even know, like I said, how I want to do this, but I think we'll go, instead of having the more busy, we're going to go with it like this. And we'll just measure to fit. We're going to leave ourselves a little bit of a white lip, and we will make our pencil mark down here, the bottom of our pocket. And I'm going to trim off from the blue side. And then I'm going to glue that down. Very nice. And these colors here match in on the other and the blues, so we're good. Let's glue it down. Verify your cut is good before you glue it down. That's always a good way to double check yourself. And side to side. We're going to leave this pocket alone other than some flowers and ribbon. We'll flip it over. We're going to do score tape around the outside like a picture frame. We're going to go 1 down the middle and 2 on either side, because this you can get in quite a bit of picture mats. We just don't want it pulling away from the book, or a chance of it doing that. So let's get this on there. I think we will plant this in our book and then we'll add the flowers. It seems easier for some people. I teach it all different ways. First flowers, then score tape, or then flowers, and then book. So, whatever my mood is, I guess. And it also tells you that things don't have to be done in a certain way when it comes to stuff like this. Other things you may want to go in the right order to save you some trouble, but okay. Here is my book. Here it is. Last page. And we're going to plant this. This is a very nice album, especially if this is the first time you've ever done a mini album. I'm going to make a bow with my ribbon here. And I think that'll look good right there. I'm going to get this other glue out. I'm going to monkey around here with some leaves and figure out how I want to place some flowers. Put one here. And I'm just going to start putting some flowers down. And you can arrange yours any way you like. I like flowers in my albums. I still have this. Have a beautiful day. And I think I might use that. I'm going to glue it down to some white cardstock, I think, first. Some scrap white cardstock. Here we go. And I'm going to cut out and around it like I have been. Just kind of looking to see how I would like to do it. And I think I'll do it just like that, at an angle. Sometimes you just got to play around with it until you find what you like. I might even pop it up a little bit there. Pushing together, not too much. Our page 9 is complete, and you should be able to get some picture mats in there. We're on page 10, our final page. We are on our last page, and we learned quite a bit through this tutorial. For pockets, we did a spaced envelope or spaced pocket with the flap. Looks like an envelope. And we also have done fold outs. So we're going to kind of combine a lot of that together for our last page. We have plenty of room. We left that spacing for it. So let's go over our pre-cuts. We cut a 6.5 by 7.25 inch piece. We called it our spaced pocket. We did this earlier on in our book, and we're going to do it again. So what we did was we laid it so we were 7.25 inches across. We scored it at a 1/2 inch, 5/8 inch, 6 5/8, and we did 6 3/4. We turned it once, so we were now 6.5 across, we scored at a 1/2 inch and the 5/8 inch spaced pocket. We then had a spaced flap, and it was 3 3/4 by 6 inch. We laid it so we were 3 3/4 across, and we scored it at a 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch. We then cut 2 pieces that were 5 1/2 by 7 1/4, and we called them fold outs. We laid each one on our scoring board. We scored it at a 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch on each one of these. We then had 2 that were cut at 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. There's no scoring. We called it our pocket. Let's grab our page 10, which we set off to the side. And we also had this off to the side, and we will just keep that off to the side at this point. Let's grab our spaced pocket and our spaced flap. And remember, down in the corner here, we need to cut out those squares. So we cut on the inside score line to the top one, and we cut them out. Same thing here, inside score line to the top one, and we cut it out. And then we can fold on those score lines. Okay, so what we're going to do here is push in the sides so they feel flat. And we'll get our glue out, and of course we want to do that on the bottom too, so it should all fold in nicely. And we're going to glue those corners. And we will hold it until it sets. Now we do want to cut our little thing out here, and even though we pulled in the sides, we can still get at it. So remember, we want to find our decorative paper for this, and I will get that for us. In your paper pack, you will find this print. It's got 4 6x6 panels, and it is this on the back. Let's take off that trim piece. And the next thing we're going to do is stick this on our paper cutter, and we're going to divide this in half. The one that we're going to work with is this one. And this is what we have. And we are going to measure to fit first, and then we will do our cuts. So I'm just going to place this down. I'm going to make sure that I have a white border. And over here, I'll make sure when I do this cut, I'll have a white border. And we will do that for down here. Now my first cut is going to be across here first, then I'll come down, and I'll show you. That way we're not cutting into the other one more than necessary. So my first cut put me like this, and now I'm going to cut down this way. I'm going to verify that this is going to fit in there, and it does. So let's grab our ruler, and from the top, somewhere in the middle, let's just mark it at about 3/4 down. Make a pencil mark, and you can use your score tape or whatever it is that you like. And just try to get it in there in the center somewhere. I'm going to draw that, and I'm going to cut that. I think that's pretty even. And if I have any pencil lines still showing, I will erase it. Very easy. Okay, so make sure that you are looking at the top and not the bottom. And put that side to side. Let's glue that down. Now we only have one magnet set left in our pack, so I will not be using it on my flap. I'm going to use that to close the outside of this album, the pages here. I think that's pretty good, because when it's all closed it will hold that flap down. If you have extra magnets and would like to do, you can. And we're going to cut. So we have that. Let's take a look at our flap and let's fold on those score lines. You know, these little pieces too, you can always glue at the bottom and make a little tuck area. And for like a little tag or journaling thing. And for this you'll just put a line right at the bottom of that clipping, and you can place that in the center there, just for something different. So now if you have a little piece, maybe a tag or something, you can always slide it back behind there. Okay, so let's fix that so it's flat. We're going to hook it back behind here, kind of take a look what we're doing, make sure it's even side to side, and we can cut at an angle, and we can do that after the fact. We do have to find our decorative paper before we can cut the white, but we can do this any way we want. I have it back behind here and I know where it's supposed to be, so I'm going to glue this down. And this, making sure I'm even on those sides. Remember, it's just the corners, because we'll slide a strip of something back behind there. If you can find something, we have plenty of scraps. So there's that. Remember, we have that to cover up. And we're going to find some decorative paper for this. And that is really pretty. We have that. Alright, so I found something that's a little bit different, and in your reserves you will find this. And I have some birds down here, and I think I want to put those birds on the cover. So I'm going to place this down on top of that. I'm going to leave a white border here, down here. My first cut will be along the side. So I'll place a pencil mark there and I'll cut this way. And then I know I need to cut that way. So I'm going to do that really quick. There was my first cut. Now I'm going to cut this way. And that will look really good. I am going to angle off the edge, and I'll just do a little bit. One there. Flip that over. And I'll do the other side, and then I'm going to find another piece for the inside. And see, that'll look really good there. Alright, for the inside, grab this back out, and since this is going to be showing up here, that will be like that, and that will be like that. So I'm just going to have my purple down here, flip this over, so that my cuts are the same here. And I'll just make a pencil mark where I need to be. So my first cut is this way, and then I'll cut it down that way. So that's going to be like that. Put these together. And now I can just clip my sides. Now there's no magnet again, because this will hold itself down. So the first one I'm going to glue is this one. And you can do the back side any way you want. So if you feel like you got it upside down, I don't think it's really going to matter. And we will place that. So that's what it's going to look like. That'll be pretty. Now I'm just going to apply glue, and that should fit in there, and I'm going to glue that down. I think that'll look great. Let's find a strip for that. And remember our cuttings from all that? I think I might use something like this. Let's see what I've got going here. I have two of them. One is smaller than the other, and I think I'll use the smaller of them. Let's see if this will fit in there, and it does. And you know what? I can just use this whole thing. I don't even need to cut it. All I need to do is place my glue right on that, or it'd be easier just to place it here. And I can place this glue all over this if I wanted, because it's going to be glued down to the background anyway. Just slide that in there. Make sure it's under that. A little flap. Alright, it's time to get this down to our page. So I'm going to use the glue. Make sure I get that. You can use score tape. I prefer the score tape, but I'm going to do this so you can maneuver it. And you can even get this back panel because it's going to go down on the paper. Keep it down. And we're going to place this right in the center, side to side. And get it from the back. Okay, that looks great. Let's grab one of our fold outs and we'll fold on those score lines. We'll get these on there one at a time. So I like, since there's room in here and there's nothing right up against the edge, it's easier on that outside score line to pinch. You'll still see your other one. Just to hook it on back to line it up. Pinch and hold the best you can. And glue down that flap, and then we're going to check, make sure no glue seeps out. Open that up. Make sure the glue is not seeping out. There's one. Let's grab our other one. And we will do the same thing, hooking it on the other side. On the outside score line, we will just hook that back behind. Make sure you are even, top and bottom. If you're a little crooked, remember we do have the magnets to help us out. And I think I'm pretty good right there. If you feel it slip, you definitely have to realign. And then we'll fold back and check for any glue seeping out. Push them in. Perfect. Let's get those magnets on now. And I think what we're going to do is we will fold over. Get that straight. We're going to flip out our right hand one. Place it. We'll come in about an inch, I think, in the middle, or 3/4 of an inch would be good too. Do the mate, and we'll bring it over the other side. if you got crooked, this is the time to correct it. Remember, don't pull it over. Let it go the way it should go. And I got mine on. Let's work on right here, and we're going to be digging into some of our reserves for sure. Okay, I've got two pieces from my reserves. One looks like this. It is about 4 3/4 wide by about 7 1/4 long or so. I'm going to place this down over here, and it's going to be too wide. It's going to go over that inside score line, which is a no-no. So what I'm going to do is measure to fit this. I'm going to place it down, make sure I have a white border. I'm going to look. I can see the one score line here, and the other one is sitting right here. So I'm just going to go to the left of that. And down here, I'm going to do the same. Make a pencil mark. My first cut is down and then over. Don't glue it down yet. We have another piece in our reserves that looks like this. And we can do the same thing, or we can match these up and just cut the same. And sometimes that's just easier. Match it up, make my pencil marks, and cut. And my first cut is going to be this way, so I don't mess up this. This would be a great picture mat in the end. So first this way, and then down that way. And again, that's what it looks like on the back. And I'm going to check myself, make sure I gave myself enough room. I did. And I'm looking to erase any pencil marks there. Alright, so let's set this off to the side for a moment. Remember, we cut two that were our pockets, 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. That will give us just enough room to wrap those flaps. So at the bottom of each panel, let's lay our score tape. And I'm laying it down here. And we're going to mount these pockets. Just like we've been doing. I'll give that just a little bend and press down the center and out. I think I'm going to save one of these for another page, so we might not place these both in the inside. Maybe just one. It might interfere with our magnet, so that's okay. We'll put them where we feel we want them. So we'll give a bend there. That looks good. And I think where I want to put this one, let's see, is maybe right here on the outside. So why don't we glue that down to the outside right fold up. And the other one will go on the inside. That way we don't have to worry about our magnets not being so potent once we fill this with our picture mats or tags. So we'll place that. Open that up. And we'll glue this one down to the inside there. let's see if we're still okay. Yep, we will be fine because we'll put just something else there. We're going to place this now. Make sure you are not on that score line over here. And our spacing in between, we'll clear that. That looks good. All right, remember we stuck this off to the side, and I think this is where I would like to place that one. So on our outside fold out on this side, we'll just do a measure to fit. So I'll place it here. Sometimes it's just easier to do that. My first cut down here and then here. And I'm going to glue that down. Now, I just saw how pretty this was, and I might want to just go with this side, but I think I want that house. I really love the colors in here, and it just all goes together. Perfect. Right here, let's see. That would look really nice to blend in. That would too, if I can get that cut down right. This one seems like a really nice fit with the colors. And I like this one. So you're going to find this, and you may see this one too. Notice the print is larger, this one is smaller. You want the one with the blue on the back, and we're just going to measure to fit for that. My first cut, I think I'll go across the bottom and then down that way. And then I'm going to glue that down. That looks good. We'll finish up with some flowers or whatever we want for this. Let's see. I think I want to use the other one with the large print. And I'm just going to measure to fit this. Very simple and quick. So I'll cut here and here. I think that looks really good. For our panel on the other side, you will find this in your paper pack, and this is what it looks like on the back. We're going to measure to fit, and it's all going to flow nicely. So just put this down, making sure I'm away from that. And I'll make cuts. Okay, I'm going to cut and cut. I'm going to apply glue, and I'm going to glue that down. And I'll burnish it. What do you think? I think that looks nice together. All right. So, what I would like to do is I'm going to make a bow here. So you might want to make one too, if you're using ribbon. If not, it's just something extra. You don't have to have it. I'm going to put that right here. I'm going to let that dry first, but then we're going to put score tape on the back side like a picture frame. All the way around, one down the middle and two on either side. And don't plant this in your book yet, we're going to plant it together. Also, I'm going to be putting some flowers and leaves on this side. I think my bow is dried enough. I'm trying to stop this camera from shaking. I got my score tape on the back. And I'm trying to figure where I would really like my flowers to be, and I think I'm going to go with something up in the corner here. I could always go down here, but I think I'm going to go up now since I was down on the other. And make sure they do not go past the side here because that's a fold out and it may get stuck. One may be plenty for this one. Just one flower. Anything you want. Let's see. What do I want to do? Okay, I'll put another. I love flowers. Right up there. And I got plenty left over for another project, which is nice. I always make more than I should. All right, let's put this in our book. Page 10 is complete. It looks great. I like it. And I hope you do too. So I'm going to grab my book and I'm going to show you first before I take the score tape off. Now notice the back is bigger than this, and we have a nice big gap here which we have wider spacing. Be mindful of where your hinges, where your book bends. So you don't want to be right up on top of it. What you're going to do is try to center it between that hinge and the outside and try to keep it even with the other. So I am going to take off the score tape. Another thing that would look really good with this is if you wanted to go back and maybe add pieces of lace here and there and dress up your album a little more. That's another thing you can do. All right, here is my crease. I'm staying away, and I'm going to try and keep this as even as I can. I think right about there is good for me. I'll open it up and we'll definitely burnish it down. And I think they blend in beautifully together. So that and your book should sit nice too. Especially when it's laying down, it should look really nice. Okay, so picture mats. Because everybody has their own taste in picture mats, I'm going to just show you a example of what I like to do. Not everybody has to. Now, I like using my leftover scraps, my decorative paper, for background borders to frame my photographs, and I also like to use white cardstock. Most of the time I like using a 65-pound cardstock, and then my decorative paper is going to go over it. But I am going to grab a photograph really quick and give you an example. So this, I have the white still around the edges of this. I did not cut it off, but this is about a 3 3/4. And if you cut the white off, it would have been like a 3.5 by 5. So I'm a little bit bigger than that, I think. So one thing you can do, if you already have your photos, great. What you can do is place them down on your cardstock and cut around, leaving a border. Okay, you can always do that. This would be a good place because there's lots of colors going around. So let me do that. And you know, you can leave as much width as you want. So I'm going to cut this really quick and show you. This is one way to do it. Or you can just measure out from the side, give yourself a 1/2 inch on each side past your photograph. Okay. The next thing is white cardstock, and this is what I like to do. Once I have that nice decorative border that matches my paper, I will then have a white little border. In this case, I think it's about an 1/8 inch all the way around. So this is one way to do it. I did put out a little video showing different ways that you can do your picture mats, so please check that out. But in the end, you can see I'll have a nice frame photograph like that. So this is my backing. Since this isn't the picture that goes in this album, I'm going to start gluing down some of these pieces. Now you don't have to be exact. If you don't know what photo size is what, I just go and start making my picture mats, and they go in, and even something like this can be a good size for a smaller photo. Okay? But you can do these any way that you would like to do. And your little small little pieces that you may have left over, well, this piece here with the lines would be wonderful for a tag. Cut it out, you can mount it on white cardstock or not, you don't have to, and you can use it as a little journaling space and stick it in your pocket. So I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I am so sorry about my camera. It keeps shutting down. I am going to order a new one here as soon as I am done getting this all ready to go and online. I'll review it one more time for accuracy, and then you will see it pop up on YouTube. I hope you've enjoyed it. Happy crafting, and I'll see you on another album.